Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one about whom Moses wrote in the law, and also the prophets, Jesus, son of Joseph, from Nazareth." But Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" Philip said to him, "Come and see." Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him and said of him, "Here is a true child of Israel. There is no duplicity in him." Nathanael said to him, "How do you know me?" Jesus answered and said to him, "Before Philip called you, I saw you under the fig tree." Nathanael answered him, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." Jesus answered and said to him, "Do you believe because I told you that I saw you under the fig tree? You will see greater things than this." And he said to him, "Amen, amen, I say to you, you will see heaven opened and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." The Gospel of the Lord. Today is the feast of St. Bartholomew. St. Bartholomew, when you see paintings and artwork of the apostles, St. Bartholomew is one of the easiest ones to distinguish. Oftentimes the apostles, after you get past St. Peter and the keys, it can be a little bit hard to discover which one is which. But you can always tell who St. Bartholomew is because he was skinned alive, flayed alive, the tradition says, in his martyrdom. And so you'll see him holding a knife or a sort of grill kind of utensil, or like in Michelangelo's Last Judgment in the Sistine Chapel, he's simply holding his flesh. Right? So it's very easy to recognize in different artwork. There's not really a whole lot to say about St. Bartholomew because we don't know that much about him other than his martyrdom. We have traditions about where he went and evangelized, as with many of the apostles. They're not written about in the scriptures, and so we can only rely on traditions. And since many of them were martyred, it's not as if there was good communication between them and the main group of apostles still in Rome and in the Holy Land. So it's difficult to know the rest of the details of their life. Something I was struck by in this first reading today, though, the book of Revelation. This is the very end of the book of Revelation. And we see that John is shown the bride, the wife of the Lamb. And so you would expect to see a woman, but instead he sees a city and a building and a temple, and it's built on the foundation stones of the apostles. And it says that this city is coming down out of heaven from God. And I was struck by that image this morning, especially with this Feast of the Apostles. The holy city Jerusalem, the new temple, that is nothing other than the church which still exists today. And so the church has the earthly aspect of it, right? You and me. But the church is also heavenly. And the church is constantly coming down from heaven, from God. One of the great images of this that I think of is from church history. St. Leo the Great, he was a pope in the 5th century. And there's this amazing artwork that I saw when I was in the Vatican. It's one of my favorite artworks. And it's about the story of St. Leo the Great and Attila the Hun. Right? Any of you familiar with this story? Right? Attila the Hun was going on rampage all throughout the Mediterranean and surrounding areas of Rome. And eventually he arrived at the gates of Rome. And Pope St. Leo the Great went out to meet him, to plead him to turn back and to not rampage the city of Rome. And we don't really know why, but for some reason, Attila the Hun listened to Pope St. Leo the Great, and he turned around, and he went the other direction. In the church tradition, many saints and theologians have argued that that was the power of the apostles protecting the city, St. Peter and St. Paul. And so there's this great artwork at St. Peter's where it shows Attila the Hun turning around the other direction and St. Leo the Great kind of standing over him, and St. Peter and St. Paul throwing down lightning bolts from heaven, right? Turning him around. And you might think of that, as just kind of something silly. But spiritually, that is absolutely true. That the apostles are still the foundation stones of the church. And we should be asking for their intercession and for their power, so that this mighty and glorious and splendorous church might constantly be coming down from heaven and overwhelming the dark forces of the world.